For tens of thousands of years, human life was defined by movement. There were no permanent homes, no villages, no walls to separate safety from danger. Instead, there was only the vastness of the world, forests, deserts, mountains, and seas, and the small bands of people who dared to cross them. Every day began with uncertainty. The tribe awoke with the rising sun, carrying with them little more than stone tools, fire, and each other. They moved with the herds, following the tracks of bison, mammoth, reindeer, and countless other creatures. When the animals moved on, the humans followed. When rivers dried up, they sought new waters. To live was to wander, and to wander was to survive. But the journey was never simple. The earth was unforgiving. Ice ages gripped the land in bitter cold. Glaciers stretched across continents, and storms swallowed the horizon. In one season, scorching drought could empty rivers and leave the land barren. In another, unrelenting snow buried entire valleys. To endure these trials demanded not only strength, but ingenuity. It was during these endless wanderings that humans sharpened their instincts. A rustle in the brush could mean food or a predator. The flight of birds revealed the direction of water. The stars above, glittering and eternal, became maps in the sky. Each hardship forced adaptation, and each adaptation carried humanity further into the unknown. Over generations, the great migrations began. From the cradle of Africa, bands of people ventured into new lands, crossing deserts, climbing mountains, and enduring oceans of grass. Step by step, they spread across the Middle East, into Asia, and eventually toward the frozen north. Some followed the mammoths across icy plains, learning to survive in the tundras of Europe. Others braved dense forests, discovering plants, roots, and berries that sustained them when the hunt failed. Still others traveled along coasts, fishing the shallow seas and building shelters from driftwood and bone. Wherever they went, humanity adapted, bending but never breaking. Conflict was inevitable. Tribes met one another on the open steppe, sometimes joining forces, sometimes clashing over hunting grounds. A spear once used against wild beasts could just as easily be turned against rival humans. Yet even in conflict, there was learning. Strategies emerged, bonds were forged, and groups grew larger, stronger, and more resilient. And still they moved. Across the cold land bridge that once connected Asia to the Americas, daring groups ventured into an untouched world. Here they encountered strange animals, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, towering bison, and adapted once more. Across thousands of miles, through frozen plains, deserts, and forests, they carved paths into lands no human had ever seen before. Everywhere they traveled, they left their mark. In caves deep within mountains, they painted hunts that told the story of bravery and survival. In valleys, they scattered stone tools that would outlast millennia. In every corner of the earth they reached, they carried the same flame, the will to endure. But survival was never guaranteed. Disease swept through groups, claiming lives before lessons could be passed on. Natural disasters reshaped the land, swallowing entire hunting grounds. And yet, time and again, humanity endured. Each trial refined them, shaping a species not only of muscle and bone, but of memory, cooperation, and imagination. They were wanderers of the earth, children of the stars, bound by a hunger that went beyond food, the hunger to keep moving forward, to cross the horizon, to see what lay beyond. And so, long before the first city rose, long before fields were sown, as centuries passed, human beings grew not only in number, but in knowledge. They began to see patterns in the world around them, the migration of animals, the turning of the seasons, the rise and fall of rivers. All of these became lessons written in the language of nature. The first shelters were built from branches, bones, and hides. These fragile homes protected families from the wind and rain, allowing them to endure longer than ever before. Soon, stones were stacked into walls, and caves were shaped into safe havens. For the first time, people created places they could return to, the earliest sense of home. But survival was never guaranteed. Rival tribes competed for food and territory. Clashes erupted, and from these struggles came the earliest signs of organized conflict. Weapons, once used for the hunt, were now turned against other humans. The fight for survival had expanded beyond beasts of the wild. Mankind had become both ally and enemy to itself. Yet, alongside conflict, there was progress. The taming of fire led to cooking, which transformed diets and gave strength to endure harsher winters. Stone tools became sharper, more refined, evolving into axes, blades, and spearheads. Knowledge spread, slowly but surely, carried by wandering bands that crossed rivers, mountains, and endless plains. And with every journey, humanity's footprint grew. From the forests of Africa to the frozen tundras of the north, people adapted, endured, and thrived. They were no longer just survivors of nature, they were beginning to shape it. What started as a struggle to see the next sunrise was now becoming the foundation of something extraordinary, the rise of human civilization.